300 years in the past, the heavens' decree manifested upon the earth. Numerous hidden realms and dungeons materialized, bringing with them a multitude of formidable monsters, signaling humanity's impending doom. Yet following the initial chaos, the Awakened emerged. These Awakeners wielded formidable skills and ultimately triumphed over the monsters, rescuing the world from imminent destruction. To combat the ongoing threat of monsters, they delved deeper into secret realms to secure wealth and resources. Nations subsequently intensified efforts to nurture Awakeners, aiming for universal awakening by the age of 18. Wang Wei, 3rd year, Class 2, Awakening unsuccessful, no designation assigned. Li Wei, 3rd year, Class 2, Successful Awakening, designation Swordsman. Wang Hao, 3rd year, Class 2, Successful Awakening, designation Craftsman. Awakeners are typically classified into 3 categories based on their roles: combat, support, and creation. The combat category is regarded as the most pragmatic and sought-after profession, whereas the creation category, which lacks combat abilities, is generally deemed the weakest and least favored by many. Li Wei, having awakened as a magic swordsman, smiled proudly, raising his hands to signify his combat classification. On the other hand, Wang Hao realized with disappointment that he had awakened into a support role, prompting tears. Meanwhile, an unknown third individual stood before a towering crystal, their back facing the audience. After the awakening ceremony concluded, the classes were further categorized into 4 ranks: common, rare, hidden, and divine. Among the audience, a student noticed that Jiang Chen, the top student, stood before the crystal. A radiant white light emitted from the crystal, surprising all the other students. The divine rank was the rarest and had not been seen in their city for hundreds of years. It was rumored that when a divine rank profession appeared, it would cause unusual phenomena in the heavens and earth. The students eagerly awaited to see which class Jiang Chen would belong to, with some speculating that he might achieve the divine rank, a rarity not witnessed in generations. Jiang Chen's awakening had proven successful. The school principal approached Jiang, praising him as an exceptional student and a pillar of the school. The principal had anticipated that Jiang would awaken into a combat class, but he had not expected it to be of divine rank. Continuing to speak, the principal inquired about Jiang's awakened profession. Jiang glanced back at the principal with a look of confusion. Turning to face the principal, Jiang corrected him, stating that he had not awakened into a combat class. The principal, looking shocked, speculated that Jiang might be a support class instead. However, a green aura began to glow around Jiang as he explained that he had awakened into the creation class, a divine rank spiritual cultivator. Raising both hands, Jiang demonstrated his abilities by creating plants. His talents enabled him to accelerate the growth of flowers, grass, and small animals. The principal stood with his mouth agape, shocked by Jiang's revelation of possessing divine power. He thought to himself that this was troublesome. Even though it was a divine rank, the creation class lacked combat abilities and seemed useless in that regard. The unidentified man standing beside the principal reassured Jiang, advising him not to be discouraged. If Jiang couldn't fight, at least he would be safe. Spiritual cultivators were highly valued in research fields, and being a divine rank added significant prestige. The principal regretted that the promised recommendation for Jiang was no longer feasible, but suggested that if Jiang pursued research, his teacher might be able to provide a recommendation letter instead. Jiang locked eyes with the principal and expressed gratitude for the information, mentioning that he would consider it. Stepping back from the principal and teacher, Jiang indicated that he had other matters to attend to and suggested that if his teachers had no further instructions, he would leave the room first. As Jiang walked away, students in the audience laughed at him. One student with brown hair couldn't believe Jiang's awakening was so weak. This student had assumed Jiang would awaken into a divine combat class, but instead, Jiang was revealed to have a creation class. Another student, covering his mouth with his hand, smirked and remarked on life's unpredictable nature. They had all assumed Jiang would awaken into a combat class, but now it seemed futile, even if he excelled in all subjects. As Jiang passed by his peers, he could hear them murmuring about how he had been treated like royalty since arriving at the school. Now, They were curious to see how long he could keep up the facade. Another student laughed at Jiang, commenting that no matter how hard Jiang worked, he would only ever be a creation class. Meanwhile, Lin, the school beauty who had consistently ranked second, had awakened to a hidden rank in the combat class. Jiang looked down with a smirk on his face, finding the other students' words harsh. He hadn't realized that awakening as a creation class would change things so drastically, but he understood that in this life, strength was paramount. Raising his hand, Jiang pondered what was wrong with being a creation class. Suddenly, a notification appeared. You have completed your profession awakening, awakened profession, spiritual cultivator, divine rank. The opening condition of the Zerg natural disaster system has been met. The initial mother insect has been unlocked. Enable the system to summon mother insects. With a piercing purple aura in his eyes, Jiang concluded that this power aligned perfectly with his system. Jiang Chen was reincarnated into a world of awakeners following his death. After the end of the Dark Era, dungeons and monsters filled the world, establishing a new era where strength was revered above all else. Born as an orphan, Jiang knew survival in this world required rigorous training and study every day until he reached the age of 18. He believed he had to rely solely on himself to make a living. Unexpectedly, Jiang awakened a system a month ago. A notification appeared, indicating that after his awakening, Jiang would be bound to the Zerg system and must complete the awakening as soon as possible. The system would be fully accessible upon successful awakening. During the Dark Era, the insect race had inflicted severe damage upon mankind, proving to be an immensely powerful adversary. Jiang learned that during the last natural disaster, 9 out of the 12 human kings had sacrificed themselves to seal the threat. In this world, strength was paramount. To Jiang, achieving power mattered more than the source, even if it meant embracing the Zerg system. With a determined gaze, Jiang activated the system. Instantly, he was transported to another realm, finding himself standing atop water. Shielding his eyes from the intense radiance with a finger to his forehead, Jiang realized that he was in his sea of consciousness. To his surprise, he found himself standing before a colossal tree glowing with white light. Further notifications appeared. Professional talent. All things evolve. Requires sacrifice. Can be activated once every 10 days and used once per target. Fruits of all things. By sacrificing, you can accumulate fruit growth progress and randomly obtain special fruits. Accelerate growth. Accelerates the growth rate of creatures, currently increased by 10%. Mainly used for accelerating creature growth. Cooldown of 8 hours after use. Jiang absorbed this information, contemplating the newfound abilities at his disposal within his sea of consciousness. Rubbing his chin thoughtfully, Jiang couldn't help but smile at the system's proactive analysis of his professional talents. While these talents lacked direct combat abilities, it appeared each one could benefit his Zerg system in unique ways. Another notification appeared, indicating that system detection was complete. Jiang was now able to begin summoning mother insects. Without hesitation, Jiang initiated the summoning process. A powerful purple aura materialized before him. Another notification followed. Summoning successful. Jiang has summoned the natural disaster level mother insect known as 9 miasma wings. Jiang observed the manifestation of 9 miasma wings with a mix of curiosity and determination, eager to explore the capabilities of this summoned creature. Notification. Mother insect, 9 miasma wings, Lord of Death from the Abyss. This creature once served as a natural disaster, triggering a catastrophic event that devastated the world before vanishing in the Third Era. The current devouring value of the mother insect is 0%, and mother insect intimacy is at 100%. Please complete the devouring process, breed offspring swarms, and unlock skills as soon as possible. Facing the massive mother insect, Jiang couldn't help but marvel at its size. The insect referred to itself as Little Nine and expressed fondness for its master. Little Nine declared hunger and eagerness to consume. Thanks to Jiang's talent, the current growth rate had been boosted by 10%. Jiang suggested that there was no need for sacrifices and proceeded with the upgrade immediately. It became apparent that the mother insect needed to feed to level up. A challenging prospect, Jiang realized. A green tornado erupted in front of Jiang, and he couldn't help but be surprised by the powerful aura emanating from the insect. Suddenly, piercing purple eyes locked with Jiang's gaze. With a demonic aura and intense stare, the giant insect transformed into a human. Another notification sounded. Congratulations, 9 miasma wings have completed the life transition and been upgraded. Gain new abilities, feed, shares, 10 times the experience with the host. Poison mist, transforms into poison mist that corrodes everything. Sharing increases all host attributes by 20%. The now human Little Nine evolved and embraced Jiang. Blushing, Jiang realized that Little Nine had indeed evolved into a human form. The talent of the spiritual cultivator could accelerate the devouring growth of the mother insect, and the experience gained from the mother insect's feed could hasten Jiang's own upgrades. Additionally, increasing all attributes by 20% would enhance combat prowess. Jiang smiled, realizing that his profession was a perfect fit for this system. Who needed a combat class now? With a smile, Jiang rested his hand on 9 miasma head. It appeared that by swiftly killing and devouring monsters, Jiang could soon amass an army of Zerg creatures. However, a recent system notification mentioned something unsettling about the Zerg, related to the Abyss and the catastrophic event of world destruction. The incomplete information indicated that this ability must be kept hidden at all costs. If discovered, it could lead to Jiang's demise. In response, Jiang decided to use his identity as a creation profession and the skills of 9 miasma wings as a cover while he devoured monsters to increase his strength. However, hiding was not Jiang's preferred approach. He desired to become strong enough to proudly display his abilities to others. Pondering over these thoughts, Jiang gazed at the tree, contemplating his path forward. Suddenly, the calm water beneath his feet began to churn aggressively. Little Nine leapt into the air, floating with a menacing glare as she sensed a nearby threat. Jiang's eyes widened as a towering figure appeared before him. The man addressed Jiang, asking if the awakening phenomenon witnessed throughout the city could be attributed to Jiang. Beads of sweat formed on Jiang's face as he looked shocked at the figure standing before him. He concluded that this person was at least a master level or above. Jiang wondered why this man was seeking him out. Students gathered around Jiang and the unknown figure. This unknown man has such a strong aura. It can be felt even from this far away. Intense discussion erupted amongst the students. Jiang couldn't help wonder the level of his mana is at. The students began to speculate that this man is here for Jiang Chen. There might be some kind of conflict as chatter filled the air. Jiang locked eyes with the man who he regarded him as uncle. This uncle has been continuously exerting pressure on him since earlier. He is exerting pressure, yet remaining silent. Jiang wondered whether the uncle was testing him as Jiang stared back at the man. Suddenly, Little Nine, licking her finger, informed Jiang, the uncle in front of them poses a threat to Jiang, and Little Nine is quite tempted to devour him. Jiang, sensing the blood thirst from Little Nine, thought this isn't good. A notification popped up. The mother insect senses that the target poses a threat to the host. The current target can provide a high level of devouring value. The mother insect is about to begin devouring the target. Suddenly, a wave of purple aura enveloped the area as the nearby students held their arms to shield their faces. Little Nine sensed the man as a threat, and now it's about to initiate an aggressive attack. The students were unable to withstand such a cold and ominous aura as they took a step back. With a sharp purple aura emitting from Jiang's left eye, he deduced that when the devouring value is too low, the mother insect becomes even more aggressive. Jiang needed to quickly find some monster for Little Nine to devour. The uncle smiled at Jiang's pressure. He came to the realization that this was the uncle's intention. He wanted to test Jiang's strength with his pressure, but it unintentionally triggered the mother insect. But fortunately, the system message stated he had temporarily suppressed the mother insect. The current devouring value of the mother insect is too low. Please start the devouring and breeding of the mother insect as soon as possible. Devouring value, 0 to 10,000. Jiang can still suppress the mother insect he thought tonight. Finally, the unknown man spoke, praising Jiang for completing his awakening and is able to withstand his pressure and even counterattack. The man continued to say that Jiang is truly worthy of a divine rank awakened and his future is limitless. The students around Jiang were surprised by Jiang's immense aura. Relieved that no one had noticed his select power, Jiang inquired who he was. The man introduced himself as Ji Gang, the leader of the Night Watch. Ji Gang didn't waste anything, and admiring Jiang's strength, he proposed if Jiang would consider joining the Night Watch, as he stretched his hand out to Jiang. Surprised by Ji Gang's proposal, Jiang understood that the Night Watch organization specifically tasked by Great Xia to resist demons and beast tides. Whenever there's a beast tide or a new secret realm or dungeon is generated, the Night Watch is the first to investigate or directly eliminate them. Due to constant fighting on the front lines, the mortality rate of the Night Watch is extraordinarily high, and most people avoid it. However, it was different for Jiang. The mother insect needs to continuously devour the flesh and blood of monsters to accumulate devouring value and reproduce offsprings. Jiang currently in need of opportunities to face large monsters, and once the devouring value is full, the mother insect will start to reproduce, and who knows how much commotion it will cause. The wilderness is a good place for the breeding of the mother insect. As long as he joins the Night Watch, whether it's devouring or breeding, the risks posed by them can be easily dealt with. From this point of view, the Night Watch organization is extremely suitable for him. Ji Gang stated that student might have heard some rumors about the Night Watch, but those are all outdated. The surrounding students, overhearing their conversation, muttered how the Night Watch has a high mortality rate. Most people wouldn't go there, let alone Jiang Chen. Ji Gang continued, if Jiang is willing to join them, he will receive comprehensive training, and as divine rank, his resources will be unlimited. Jiang without hesitation shook Ji Gang's hand, accepting his offer. Ji Gang was surprised by how Jiang accepted his proposal so swiftly. Jiang, closing his eyes, confessed that he had some business to attend to today. He could sense that Little Nine was unhappy with the turn of events, as she is hungry and wanted to eat Ji Gang. As Jiang departed, he turned his face slightly to Ji Gang and stated that he will report to the Night Watch after 3 days. Jiang swiftly took off, taking to the air. Ji Gang, still surprised, contemplated that convincing Jiang would have been more complicated and hadn't expected it to go this smoothly. He pondered what hidden profession Jiang had, as he forgot. Turning his head, 2 figures came in Ji Gang's field of view. It was the 8 elder from the Martial Arts Academy. The elderly man was here to snatch Jiang to join their organization. However, Ji Gang stated that he was too late. The elderly man, ignoring Ji Gang's comment, inquired where the guy with divine rank creation class. Confused, Ji Gang locked eyes with the elderly man, asked what he meant by creation class. The elderly man, with a puzzled face, inquired whether Ji Gang is planning on letting a divine rank awakened of the creation category to join the Night Watch, just to let him die. Coming to the realization, Ji Gang asked what divine rank creation class is. In the middle of the street, a portal appeared as many of the residents gathered. The cause of the phenomenon in the main city was the cause of some individual. 3 individuals were conversing with each other. The older man rubbed the back of his head as he smiled because he was the cause for the portal to appear. Next to him was a purple-haired woman who seems to be scolding Uncle Wang. She asked him to lower his voice, or he might die if someone comes looking for trouble. Uncle Wang laughed, suggesting that his mouth is always running. The third individual with brunette hair casually smiled at them both, with both hands clasped behind her back. Jiang arrived at the scene, easing the tension between the 2 individuals. Smiling at them, Jiang stated that Uncle Wang did nothing wrong. Uncle Wang, directing his gaze at Jiang, suggested that even though the creation category can't fight, companies that cultivate spiritual plants need people of the creation category. If Jiang's parents were still alive, they would be proud of Jiang. Jiang smiled back at Uncle Wang, thanking him for the support of everyone in the building. He definitely wouldn't forget Uncle Wang in the future. Changing the topic, Uncle Wang praised Jiang for coming today, as Uncle Wang's party was just about to go to a beginner-level secret realm to get some equipment. Uncle Wang asked Jiang if he would like to join them and level up together. Jiang accepted the offer. As they entered the portal, a message popped up stating that Jiang had completed the team formation. The system notified Jiang that he had entered the secret realm. Stepping out of the portal, Jiang couldn't help but marvel at the interior of the secret realm. Blue flames flickered across the corridor. As they continued to walk, the system stated that they had entered the undead zone. The secret realm guarantees a 100% drop rate of items and equipment. Experience points will be calculated after the secret realm is completed. Exiting voluntarily midway is equivalent to forfeiting experience and equipment. Uncle Wang was surprised to see undead soldiers and contemplated why the secret realm system matched them with a dungeon of this rank. Jiang pondered, and also concluded that this dungeon is not going to be as easy to deal with. Xiao, behind Uncle Wang, wondered whether it was because of Jiang, because he is a divine rank awakened. In order to balance it out, the celestial system matched them with a higher level in the secret realm. However, Uncle Wang chimed in, noting that Jiang is of the creation category. Seeing the undead, the brunette woman suggested that they turn back. However, Uncle Wang dismissed that notion. He knew that they don't come across secret realms of this rank every day. How would they know the true strength of the undead if they didn't try? He reaffirmed that this time they might get lucky because of Jiang and get some great equipment drops as he equipped his great sword. The undead soldiers roared in unison as they charged towards the group. Swinging his great sword, Uncle Wang jumped in the air as he prepared to attack the undead. As the swung his sword, he asked that Jiang stand back, as the undead soldiers are more dangerous than an average C-rank monster. Once the path is clear, they can advance toward the core of the dungeon. Slicing an undead soldier in half, Uncle Wang urged Xiao to enhance his talent. Understanding Uncle Wang's request, Jiang Chen clasped her hands together, murmuring an incantation. A blue aura radiated from her hands as Uncle Wang's talents were enhanced. Gritting his teeth, Uncle Wang sliced through multiple undead soldiers. Jiang, dropping back, observed Uncle Wang and the others fighting the undead soldiers and wondered how they managed to survive. Every time they finish a dungeon, they always come back covered in wounds. Even so, Xiao has always supported him. Jiang even heard that Xiao had become an adventurer because she was forced to do so in order to cure her brother's eyes. Jiang needed to get stronger quickly, and when he makes money, he can properly thank them for supporting him. Little Nine, observing the scenes, inquired, "There are so many monsters and blood here, she wanted to devour them." Looking at the undead corpses, Jiang smiled, noting that Little Nine had already sensed it. Little Nine materialized behind him with a devilish grin. Sensing Little Nine's hunger, Jiang wanted to test some of Little Nine's ability. Little Nine's first ability is Poison Barrier Level 1. The ability is Corrosion. Jiang lifting his hand as black-purple mist materialized in the palm of his hand. Jiang released Little Nine as she jumped on the undead corpses. The monster corpses were corroded the moment they made contact. Little Nine's poison mist is so powerful. However, the level of the monsters is too low, causing the growth rate to be slow. It seems they need to devour more monsters. As Little Nine's mist devoured the corpses, Jiang looked back at the others. Uncle Wang and the other two are truly partners who have been teaming up for years. In such a short time, they've already advanced to the depths of the dungeon. Since the poison mist is an area of effect skill, and even though Jiang cannot control it precisely yet, there might be accidental injuries. Then, Jiang should just follow behind and deal with these monster corpses. Suddenly, a mini version of Little Nine materialized on Jiang's shoulder, prompting him to look in the direction she was pointing. It seems Little Nine sensed fresh blood. Turning to the direction Little Nine was pointing, Jiang could see new undead rising. These undead rising were different from the others his team had killed. It was a shadow lurker with high stats, lurking in the shadows to hunt down weaker stragglers. However, in terms of attributes, these monsters were completely inferior to Jiang, who has the attribute enhancement from the United skill. Wanting to test his skills, Jiang stretched out his hand. "Little Nine, transform into poisonous mist," he commanded, and she followed him. The shadow lurker swiftly moved towards Jiang, who stood still as dark purple mist formed around him. Jiang readied himself and jumped towards the shadow lurker, quickly closing the gap. He tagged the shadow lurker with his poison mist. The shadow lurkers looked surprised as purple mist started to envelop them. Jiang raising his hand where the purple mist floated around, then clenched it into a fist, and then the Shadow Lurker were instantly devoured by Little Nine. Numerous system message popped up, stating that Jiang's stats have gone up by +50. Sure enough, these monsters are no match for him, and the devouring value also increases faster in this way. Little Nine sensed more Shadow Lurkers appearing. There are actually so many monsters hidden in this dungeon. Jiang suddenly felt worried about Uncle Wang and the others. Smiling, Jiang asked Little Nine to handle the undead. Little Nine's form started to materialize with a sharp, menacing look. A few minutes later, Jiang arrived at Uncle Wang's location along with others. As he approached, he noticed that Uncle Wang was badly injured, facing a group of monsters. Uncle Wang wielded his great sword with both hands, his back pressed against Xiao's back. Xiao extended her arms towards the monsters, poised to utilize her abilities for defense against the impending attack. As the monsters closed in on Uncle Wang and Xiao, moving swiftly to attack, Uncle Wang's blood dripped onto his face. Despite the pain, he gritted his teeth and locked eyes with the advancing monsters. He explained to Xiao that each encounter with the monsters seemed to grow more challenging, emphasizing the increasing difficulty in defeating them. Realizing the dire situation, Uncle Wang acknowledged that they couldn't survive if they persisted at this rate. He turned to Xiao and instructed her to locate Jiang and evacuate immediately. Perplexed, Xiao looked at him and asked for clarification. In that moment of distraction, an undead soldier seized the opportunity, swiftly advancing toward Uncle Wang with the intent to attack by surprise. Uncle Wang gripped the sword with one hand and glanced aside, sensing the presence of the undead soldier. Perplexed by the unfolding events, he swiftly redirected his attention toward the monster. As he observed the sword swiftly approaching his head, he clenched his teeth tightly, realizing the gravity of the situation. In that critical moment, Jiang emerged and swiftly intervened. He extended his hand towards the monster and employed Little Nine's poisonous mist ability. The mist enveloped the undead soldier, gradually corroding its body and causing it to disintegrate. As Uncle Wang witnessed this unexpected turn of events, he was both surprised and perplexed, observing the soldier's body vanish before his eyes. Uncle Wang felt a sense of bewilderment as he wondered what was unfolding. Suddenly, Jiang's voice broke through the chaos, asking if Uncle Wang and the others were all right. Startled, Uncle Wang turned his head and saw Jiang approaching. His expression tightened as he remained silent. Jiang extended his hand to the side and deployed Little Nine's poisonous mist, infecting the undead soldiers and eradicating them one by one as he neared Uncle Wang and the group. As the undead soldiers gradually dissolved from the effects of the poisonous mist, Uncle Wang shifted his focus towards Jiang. Holding his sword with one hand, Uncle Wang fixed his gaze on Jiang and inquired how a creation class, awakened individual like him, could accomplish such feats. Jiang halted before Uncle Wang, exuding a powerful aura. He turned towards him with a smile and explained that he possessed a hidden ability known as poisonous mist. With a calm demeanor, Jiang mentioned this and then extended his hand to release Little Nine's poisonous mist once more. Concerned for Uncle Wang's injury, Jiang instructed Xiao to assist him in quickly transporting Uncle Wang to the portal of the secret realm. Jiang assured them that he intended to stay behind to provide cover for their escape. His declaration left everyone speechless. Uncle Wang's expression shifted to one of surprise as he gazed at Jiang, expressing concern over the danger despite Jiang's divine class abilities. Xiao, also taken aback, urged Jiang to join them instead of remaining behind to confront the undead soldiers. As they conversed, the brunette girl brought her hand to her mouth and fell silent, her expression reflecting uncertainty. Jiang turned away from them, his body radiating a powerful aura. He glanced back slightly and reassured Uncle Wang not to worry, confident that he could handle the situation. With that, Jiang turned away from Uncle Wang and the others, his energy intensifying as he advanced towards the monsters. At that moment, a notification from the system informed everyone that the boss of the secret realm was being summoned, triggered by the number of people meeting the requirements on the final level. As Uncle Wang watched Jiang move away towards the monsters, preparing to intervene, Xiao interjected before he could voice his concern. She turned towards Uncle Wang and reminded him that Jiang was not reckless, urging him to place trust in Jiang. After careful consideration, Uncle Wang chose to trust Jiang. He tossed the sword to Jiang, instructing him to remember to return it later. Jiang caught the sword and reassured Uncle Wang, promising to return it without fail. The sword in question was the Novice Conqueror's sword, boasting 25 speed points, 30 strength points, and a 2% attack speed bonus. Additionally, it featured an already active passive ability. Jiang examined the sword closely, his gaze fixed on the monsters with determination. With Uncle Wang's sword in hand, Jiang saw an opportunity to enhance the attack range of the Poisonous Mist ability. This development filled him with optimism and determination. Jiang activated the Poisonous Mist ability, causing it to slowly emerge on the blade of his sword. The undead soldiers surged forward, aiming to attack Jiang. However, with remarkable speed, Jiang swiftly evaded their strikes. Using Uncle Wang's sword, Jiang expertly sliced through the monsters, infecting them with the poisonous mist as he dispatched them into pieces. The monsters posed no challenge to Jiang, who was renowned as the top swordsman in the entire school. As Jiang focused on battling the undead soldiers, a much stronger monster suddenly gained momentum, charging towards him at high speed. This formidable monster unsheathed its sword and cautiously closed in on Jiang, poised to launch a surprise attack. Initially unaware of the impending attack, Jiang swiftly turned his head to see the monster charging towards him at great speed. With quick reflexes, Jiang gathered momentum and executed a powerful leap, evading the monster's strike. The force of the monster's attack was so immense that it shattered the ground into pieces where Jiang had stood moments before. Witnessing Jiang dodge its initial attack, the monster glared at him with a murderous gaze, tightening its grip on the sword. As Jiang was airborne, the monster launched another attack. Fortunately, Jiang was able to block the attack just in time with Uncle Wang's sword. However, due to the overwhelming strength of the monster's strike, the sword lent to Jiang by Uncle Wang shattered into two halves, causing Jiang to be thrown backward from the impact. Swiftly, Jiang planted his feet on the ground, halting his momentum. He glanced to the side and was surprised to see that Uncle Wang's sword had shattered. The boss's strength exceeded Jiang's expectations. More concerned about the broken sword than the formidable boss, Jiang fretted over how to explain the situation to Uncle Wang. The boss of the secret realm was known as the Undead King, a formidable opponent at level 15. With sword in hand, the Undead King fixed a murderous gaze on Jiang. Suddenly, the Undead King's body began to vibrate, and in an instant, it reappeared behind Jiang, poised to launch a devastating attack. Upon sensing the Undead King's sudden movement, Jiang felt a wave of terror and questioned how the boss had achieved such incredible speed. With determination in his eyes, Jiang locked his gaze on the Undead King and summoned Little Nine for assistance. Just as the Undead King's sword was about to strike Jiang, Little Nine materialized and seized hold of the blade, intercepting the attack. Little Nine fixed her gaze on the Undead King and inquired of Jiang if she could eliminate him. Jiang responded affirmatively without hesitation. Delighted by this permission, Little Nine swiftly shattered the blade of the Undead King's sword with her bare hand. She extended her arms outward, her body emanating a potent energy that radiated in all directions. Upon witnessing the destruction of its sword, the Undead King grew wary. Deprived of its weapon, the Undead King opted to attack with its fists, seizing the opportunity presented by Little Nine's distraction. It swiftly advanced toward her, intending to catch her off guard. Suddenly, Little Nine's eyes snapped open, and her body underwent a dramatic transformation. With a determined glare, Little Nine locked eyes with the Undead King and deployed her tentacles in self-defense. Taking an offensive stance, she launched a barrage of attacks against the Undead King, using her sharp tentacles, each strike as deadly as a sword. Gradually, her powerful tentacles began to dismantle the body of the Undead King. She began by severing the left arm of the Undead King, followed swiftly by the right arm. Little Nine impaled her tentacle into the head of the Undead King, causing the boss's body to collapse to the ground. Holding the head of the Undead King in her hand, Little Nine's body radiated with powerful energy as she approached Jiang. Witnessing Little Nine's impressive display of power, Jiang couldn't help but smile in amazement. He marveled at how calm Little Nine remained in the face of such a formidable secret realm boss. Jiang anticipated that defeating the boss would prompt the portal to open. As Little Nine approached Jiang, an energy crystal materialized in front of him. As Jiang gazed at the crystal, he pondered its purpose and origin. The energy crystal ascended into the sky, gradually drawing magic from the corpses of the defeated monsters. Jiang watched in amazement as this process unfolded before him. After several seconds, the energy crystal emitted a brilliant glow, summoning a colossal monster into existence. The monstrous entity that emerged was known as the Undead Tyrant, towering over Little Nine and Jiang by 20 times their size. Fixing a menacing gaze upon them, the Undead Tyrant directed its attention towards Jiang and Little Nine. Jiang, observing the transformation of the energy crystal into this colossal creature, began to speculate whether the energy crystal itself was the true boss of the secret realm. Jiang swiftly turned his head, gritting his teeth, and commanded Little Nine to target and destroy the energy crystal within the Undead Tyrant. As the monstrous creature fixated its gaze on Jiang, it let out a deafening roar. The Undead Tyrant swung a mace at Little Nine, but with remarkable agility, she leaped off the wall, narrowly evading the attack. Having evaded the initial attack, the Undead Tyrant readied itself to strike again. It lunged at Little Nine once more, but she swiftly leaped into the air, narrowly avoiding the attack. As a result, the monster's mace slammed into the ground, shattering it into pieces while Little Nine remained airborne. With a fierce expression, Little Nine fixed her intense gaze on the Undead Tyrant and extended her hands, sending sharp tentacles swiftly toward it. Despite her relentless assault, the boss effortlessly dodged every attack as if it were nothing. Jiang was astonished to see the massive Undead Tyrant move with such incredible speed. Gritting his teeth, Jiang contemplated a strategy. Surveying the ground, he noticed several plants scattered among the debris. Seeing this opportunity, Jiang decided to leverage his divine creation class known as Spiritual Master. Focusing intently on the plants, he realized he had only one opportunity to execute his plan. If you guys want to see the next part, then don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Jiang acknowledged the incredible speed and power of the Undead Tyrant's attacks. As the monstrous creature lifted its mace from the ground and prepared to strike, Jiang likened it to a rampaging bull beyond control. However, he recognized this frenzy as a potential weakness. Meanwhile, Little Nine attempted to assail the Undead Tyrant with her sharp tentacles, but the creature countered by spinning its body at high speed, effortlessly evading her attacks and gaining momentum. Advancing rapidly, the Undead Tyrant closed in on Jiang. Within moments, it launched itself into a mighty leap. Jiang raised his gaze toward the approaching creature, realizing the impending danger. He had sensed it before. There were numerous hidden passages beneath the ground. As the Undead Tyrant soared through the air, it seized its mace with both hands, swiftly closing the distance toward Jiang. As the Undead Tyrant closed in for an attack, Jiang observed its gradual approach. Waiting for the opportune moment, he prepared to employ his talent to halt its advance. When the Undead Tyrant drew near enough, Jiang focused intently, determining that the time was right. Extending his hand toward the ground, a green symbol materialized in his palm. Harnessing his talent, Jiang summoned the concealed spiritual roots from beneath the ground. With his gaze fixed upon the Undead Tyrant, he directed his hand towards it with determination. In mere moments, 4 spiritual roots emerged from the earth, lancing toward the Undead Tyrant. Piercing its body, the roots ensnared the creature in mid-air, immobilizing it completely. With his hand outstretched and his body enveloped in a potent aura, Jiang directed his attention to Little Nine, signaling that it was her moment to act. Swiftly, Little Nine approached the Undead Tyrant, her hand landing on its head, while her other hand readied her claws. Fixing the creature with a deadly glare, she affirmed her understanding to Jiang with a resolute, "Understood, Master." As Little Nine prepared to strike, the Undead Tyrant's expression shifted dramatically, sensing impending danger. Despite its attempts to defend itself, it proved futile. In a swift motion, Little Nine surged forward, her sharp claws and tentacles slashing through the air. With precision, she pierced the creature's body, cleaving it in half and obliterating the spiritual roots in the process. Within moments, the lifeless form of the Undead Tyrant crumpled to the ground. Jiang, with his hands still raised towards the sky, maintained control over both the spiritual roots and the tyrant's corpse. A sense of pride swelled within him at his victory over the formidable foe. Knowing that his ability was reliable, Jiang felt reassured that he could continue to be a formidable force in battles as long as he utilized his skills effectively. Lost in contemplation, Jiang was interrupted by a system notification indicating that the growth acceleration was now on an 8-hour cooldown. Consequently, the spiritual roots began to diminish gradually. Moments later, the core materialized from the undead tyrant's corpse. Recognizing its significance, Jiang swiftly resolved to destroy it without delay. In a swift motion, Jiang intercepted the core before it could escape, seizing it firmly in his grasp. With determination, he clenched his fist tightly, causing the core to fracture into pieces. As the shards descended to the earth, Jiang fixed his gaze upon his clenched fist, harboring a resolute expression as he contemplated that this marked the conclusion. Amidst the aftermath, a flurry of system notifications cascaded, heralding Jiang's triumph in clearing the C-rank secret realm known as the Temple of the Undead. Swiftly, the system computed his contributions, culminating in the successful generation of the secret realm score. Despite starting at level 0 and bearing the class of Spiritual Master, Jiang Chen achieved an impressive S rating in this secret realm. Wang Ye, a level 12 swordsman, secured a B rating, while Liu Yang, a level 11 warlock, achieved an A rating. Yi Qian, a level 10 boxer, also earned a B rating. As the heavenly system commenced the computation of team rewards, a window materialized before Jiang, signaling the forthcoming rewards. After a brief pause, the system completed the generation of team rewards, prolonging the window's appearance. Jiang was presented with several weapon options to consider. The first was a dagger, followed by a scepter, then a heavy axe, a lighter axe, and finally a hammer. As the spiritual root gradually receded into the ground, Jiang found himself gazing at the system window, lost in contemplation for several moments. He reached into the system window and selected the dagger. As he retrieved the weapon, its statistics became visible. It was Edmu's swift dagger, ranked D, providing the user with 50 attack points and a 5% speed bonus. The dagger was associated with swords and offered 2 professional attributes. Inspecting the blade with one hand, Jiang found it satisfactory and resolved to offer it as recompense for Uncle Wang. His gaze shifted to the array of equipment displayed in the system window. It dawned on him quickly that all the gear catered to combat needs. Uncertain if there was anything tailored for creation classes, Jiang leaned closer to the system window. He reached in and began scrutinizing the attributes of each item. Opting for the hammer, he extracted it from the system, but upon lifting it, the weight caused it to slip from his grasp, thudding heavily onto the ground. The hammer, dubbed Call of the King, bestowed upon the user a formidable 100 strength points, albeit at the cost of deducting 100 agility points due to its heft. Its unique attribute allowed for a 10% chance to trigger critical damage amplified 5-fold. As Jiang struggled to hoist the hammer, he sensed a novel feeling creeping over him. A notification popped up, indicating that he was receiving experience points as a reward. Jiang swiftly comprehended that the system was granting him the experience gained from the secret realm. Despite the hammer's weight, Jiang felt the newfound experience gradually empowering him to lift it. In mere moments, he effortlessly hoisted the hammer, as if it weighed nothing. Another notification from the system revealed that the United ability was activated, boosting all of Jiang's attributes by 20%. Surrounded by a potent aura, he held the hammer in one hand while casually slipping the other into his pocket, his gaze fixed on the hammer. Benefiting from the passive ability of the Insect Mother, he had ascended to level 6, enhancing the potency of the United effect. With each level gained, he noticed a marked improvement in his physical combat prowess. Lost in contemplation, Jiang was drawn back to the present as Little Nine tugged at his shirt, demanding his attention. Jiang's reverie was interrupted by Little Nine's voice. She gestured towards the system window, inquiring if she could consume all the rewards. Setting the hammer down, Jiang met her gaze, contemplating her request for a moment. Turning towards her, Jiang explained that the equipment wasn't edible for Little Nine. It was meant for Uncle Wang and the others to trade for money. He warned her that eating it would give her a stomachache. Little Nine, upon hearing this, dropped one hand behind her back and touched her lips with the other, her expression shifting to one of sadness as she looked at Jiang. Turning her body towards the undead tyrant's corpse, Little Nine inquired if she could consume it. Jiang realized he had overlooked the value of devouring the remains of the boss. Surrounded by a potent aura, he nodded and granted Little Nine permission to devour it, recognizing that it rightfully belonged to her. Little Nine wasted no time in approaching the colossal corpse of the undead tyrant. Observing its immense size, Jiang couldn't help but wonder if the boss was perhaps too large. Considering its bulk, he speculated that it might take Little Nine quite some time to corrode it using her poisonous mist. Little Nine stretched her arms wide, closed her eyes, and informed Jiang that she was about to feast. Instantly, her body began to tremble, reverting to her natural state within moments. Once transformed, she fixed the undead tyrant's corpse with an intense, predatory stare, her mouth opening as she moved closer to it. Despite the colossal size of the undead tyrant's corpse, it appeared minuscule compared to the mother insect's natural form. Jiang watched in awe as she reverted to her original state to consume the corpse, a sight that filled him with dread. With her mouth agape, she charged toward the boss's remains, emitting a series of ferocious roars as she approached. As Little Nine devoured the corpse, a powerful gust of wind swept through the area. Jiang seized the opportunity to retrieve all the equipment from the system window. With one hand clutching the hammer, he shielded his face from the wind generated by Little Nine's roaring. Although the noise was deafening, they were fortunate to be within the confines of the secret realm. Had this occurred in the bustling main city, their actions would have undoubtedly attracted unwanted attention, regardless of their efforts to conceal themselves. Upon finishing the feast, a system notification emerged, awarding Jiang with 400 devouring points. As he shielded his face with his arm, Jiang noticed that the devouring value was escalating at a rapid pace. As anticipated, the boss's meat indeed held unique value. Jiang understood that consuming more boss-type monsters was imperative to boost the devouring value further. Lost in contemplation, he was suddenly alerted by approaching footsteps. Swiveling around, he gritted his teeth upon realizing that Uncle Wang and the others were drawing near, likely drawn by the commotion caused by Little Nine. With the devouring value standing at 8,876 points, Jiang approached Little Nine and urged her to revert to her other form swiftly. Little Nine's smile faded slightly as she complied with his request, a hint of regret in her expression. Jiang felt a pang of disappointment knowing that the devouring value was tantalizingly close to being maxed out. Within moments, Uncle Wang and the others reached their location. As Uncle Wang noticed the equipment scattered on the ground, he understood that Jiang had successfully completed the level. Jiang clarified to Uncle Wang the situation with his broken sword, presenting him with the dagger as compensation. Uncle Wang accepted the dagger readily, acknowledging its rarity. He assured Jiang that he wouldn't hold him responsible for the damage to his equipment. Approaching Jiang, Uncle Wang revealed that the necklace was another valuable item, worth a considerable sum if sold. Ye Qian, intrigued, inquired how Jiang had managed to defeat the boss single-handedly. Jiang scratched his head sheepishly and explained that his poison appeared to have a particularly potent effect on formidable monsters like the boss. With a solemn expression, Jiang directed his gaze downwards. The secret realm had been thoroughly conquered, but once a secret realm was cleared, it wouldn't reset. Acquiring the devouring value from another boss would be crucial to kick-starting the insect swarm breeding. If Jiang aimed to encounter a new boss, his only option was to venture into the desert. Observing Jiang, Uncle Wang expressed regret that Jiang was destined for the research department. Despite not even reaching level 1, he had already vanquished a boss monster, suggesting significant potential for strength once he leveled up. After sharing his thoughts, Uncle Wang inquired about Jiang's future plans. Turning towards Uncle Wang, Jiang smiled and revealed that he hadn't mentioned it earlier to avoid causing worry. In truth, he had decided to join the Night's Watch. Surprised, Uncle Wang sought confirmation, questioning Jiang's sincerity in his decision. Jiang nodded, affirming his intention to join the Night's Watch. Jiang disclosed his plan to depart for the Night's Watch in 3 days' time. Before his departure, he aimed to boost his level, intending to venture into the wilderness for further leveling. Uncle Wang's astonishment was evident, while Ye Qian reacted with disbelief, her hand covering her mouth at the thought of Jiang embarking on such a perilous endeavor. As Liu Yang extended her hand towards him, her expression grave with concern, Jiang interrupted her, his fist clenched tightly. In response, Little Nine's poisonous mist began to emanate from the palm of his hand, a silent testament to his determination. Assuring Liu Yang not to worry about him, Jiang expressed confidence in his abilities and urged them to focus their concerns on the looming threat of the monsters. Later that day, Jiang boarded the train, arriving at the city's outskirts a few hours later. Prompted by the conductor, those bound for the wilderness disembarked the train. Stepping off the train, Jiang wrapped himself in a cloak to blend into the crowd, keen on avoiding undue attention. Pausing to survey his surroundings, his gaze fixed on a bustling bridge teeming with awakeners. Since awakening the system, Jiang found his appetite strangely heightened. What astonished him even more was that despite its instability, his devouring value exhibited a slight uptick with each meal. As Jiang nibbled on a loaf of bread, his devouring value incremented by 2 points. Little Nine materialized beside him, grimacing at the bread as she commented on its lack of flavor. Determined to find her something more palatable, Jiang resolved to seek out a suitable meal for Little Nine. With a gesture, he conjured a map and unfolded it before Little Nine. The generosity of Uncle Wang surprised him. Not only had he provided the map, but also a crucial storage ring and additional guidance upon learning of Jiang's journey to the desert. These provisions proved invaluable to Jiang. He ventured forth across the bridge, mindful of Uncle Wang's counsel. In the wilderness, the influence of the Heavenly Way rendered electronic devices useless, akin to an apocalyptic landscape where monsters roamed freely, migrating to their nests without restraint. The maps provided had a fleeting utility. Devoid of updated intelligence, locating monster clusters, let alone bosses, posed a formidable challenge. Creatures like firebirds and thunder rhinoceroses, conspicuous in their movements, were among the most prevalent. Areas marked with question marks were to be steered clear of, deemed perilous nests with elevated risk levels. Uncle Wang had advised Jiang that the Goblin Dungeon would be the most fitting choice. Low-leveled, abundant in monsters, and less crowded. As Jiang scrutinized the map, he tightened his fist, sporting a smile, resolved to embark on the journey. However, amidst his contemplations, a voice abruptly interrupted, commanding him to halt. Jiang tensed up, swiveling around to face the source of the voice. A cloaked figure stood before him, hand resting firmly on Jiang's shoulder, eyes fixated with intensity. He questioned why Jiang had ignored his calls, expressing a desire to inquire about something important. The cloaked man inquired if Jiang had spotted a girl with golden hair nearby. Jiang's gaze sharpened, and he denied seeing anyone fitting that description, cautioning the man to mind his words. Simultaneously, Little Nine's poisonous mist began to emit from Jiang's shoulder, adhering to the man's hand. The cloaked man swiftly withdrew his hand from Jiang's shoulder, a perplexed expression crossing his face. Examining his hand, he clenched his teeth, pondering if this substance was poison. He found it puzzling, as Jiang didn't appear to have reached a level capable of such an attack. Nonetheless, he remained unperturbed, knowing that Jiang, at his current level, couldn't pose a threat to him, a level 27 main defense warrior. With a dismissive gesture, Jiang turned his back and walked away, advising the man to seek a healer promptly, cautioning him about the severity of the poison. He added a word of caution about maintaining vigilance. Despite Jiang's departure, the man couldn't contain his anger, demanding Jiang's attention and questioning his authority to leave. Hearing this, Jiang fixed his gaze on the man, his expression turning fierce. As the man approached, emanating a formidable aura, he leveled a penetrating stare at Jiang, questioning his audacity in crossing paths with the Xiao family. Jiang's mind raced, contemplating if the man was alluding to the Xiao family from the Battle of Heaven. If you guys want to see the next part, then don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like the video. At the man's words, Jiang locked eyes with him, sensing the impending confrontation. True to his intuition, the man lunged forward, aiming a powerful strike, but Jiang was one step ahead. With swift agility, he sidestepped the attack, watching as the man's fist crashed into the ground with destructive force, fracturing it into shards. As Jiang soared through the air, distancing himself from the man, he shielded his face with one hand, eyeing the furious assailant with intensity. Thoughts raced through his mind as he pondered the significance of the Xiao family. The man's demeanor betrayed a deep-seated rage, prompting Jiang to recognize the gravity of the situation. With gritted teeth and a menacing glare, the man surged forward with alarming velocity, closing the gap between them in a flash. Drawing his sword, the man commended Jiang's agility, acknowledging his opponent's swiftness. Sensing the escalation, Jiang threw back his hood, revealing his determined expression. With a swift gesture, he summoned Little Nine's poisonous mist, shrouding the area. Locking eyes with the man, Jiang signaled to Little Nine that there was no need to restrain themselves any longer. Upon Jiang's command, Little Nine materialized from the swirling mist, her gaze fixed on the man with a lethal intensity. Understanding Jiang's directive, she acknowledged with a silent nod. The sight of the poisonous mist seemed to stoke the man's aggression further. He bellowed at Jiang, questioning whether he truly believed he could intimidate him again with the same tactic. Before Jiang could enact his retaliation, a newcomer intervened, addressing the man as Zheng Tai and emphasizing the need for discretion. At the sound of the voice, Zheng Tai's demeanor shifted abruptly. He gritted his teeth, slowly turning to face the newcomer, a palpable sense of fear washing over him. Jiang watched in silence, curious about the unfolding situation. A figure with blue hair emerged from behind Zheng Tai, draped in a hood. Clearly irate, he fixed Zheng Tai with a menacing glare, demanding to know why he was present instead of searching for someone as instructed. Zheng Tai visibly trembled, his fear evident as he struggled to offer an explanation. Before Zheng Tai could utter a word, the man cut him off, spinning around with a disdainful glance. He branded Zheng Tai as worthless, blaming him for nothing but trouble. The words struck Zheng Tai like a blow, rendering him even more terrified. Before he could react, the man delivered a powerful punch beneath his chin, leaving Zheng Tai reeling from the impact. Zheng Tai staggered back, blood trickling from his nose. The man, a member of the Xiao family, exuded a formidable aura. He fixed his gaze on Zheng Tai, his expression murderous, as he reiterated that Zheng Tai was no more than a mere lapdog of the Xiao family, unworthy of invoking its name. Zheng Tai swiftly dropped to his knees, bowing before the man and begging for forgiveness. He promised not to repeat his mistake and assured that there would be no further disruptions. Meanwhile, Jiang discreetly donned his hood and observed the scene without detecting the man's presence. It quickly dawned on Jiang that this individual posed a greater threat than the earlier warrior. As Zheng Tai rose to his feet, the man approached Jiang with an apologetic tone, attributing his companion's behavior to his aggressive tendencies. He offered compensation for the trouble caused. Jiang assured him there was no need for concern, declining any offer of reparation. Upon hearing the man's inquiry, Jiang was met with a smile as the man stepped closer. His demeanor exuded a potent energy as he locked eyes with Jiang, proposing a joint journey to the desert. Jiang, maintaining his silence, returned the man's gaze for several moments, contemplating his offer. Turning his back on them, Jiang gradually distanced himself, declining the man's invitation, expressing his preference for solitude on his journey. Observing Jiang's departure in silence, the man found him intriguing, aware of Jiang's awakening as a spiritual master, a divine class of creation. As Jiang distanced himself, Zheng Tai rose to his feet and inquired about continuing his search. The man's gaze shifted towards Zheng Tai, and with a steady stare, he dismissed the idea, noting that the opportunity had likely elapsed by now. Having deciphered the clues, the man deduced that the girl they sought had fled the city and likely aimed to traverse the desert toward the nearest station. He removed his hood, revealing his face, and instructed Zheng Tai not to let her reach the inn alive. Ordering him to rally all dispersed servants, the man departed, leaving Zheng Tai to nod in acknowledgement and comply with the command. With a nod and a silent acknowledgement, Zheng Tai accepted the directive. The spread of humanity across the planet had birthed numerous cities. Yet, with the awakened era came the intrusion of beasts, secret realms, and dungeons, necessitating the continual adaptation and fortification of human settlements against these powerful forces. In the current era, Only those awakened individuals driven by the pursuit of power ventured back to these regions to battle monsters, ascend in levels, and amass riches. These regions are now commonly referred to as the Wildlands. As Jiang traversed the terrain, he encountered a swarm of rats. After several hours, he reached a desolate and dilapidated section of the city. As he journeyed, Jiang began to sense a growing disorientation. Despite his intended destination being the goblin beast's nest, he found himself wandering for hours without arrival. Nightfall had descended, yet he remained far from his goal. Little Nine, sensing her hunger, caught a rat and perched atop Jiang's head, though she soon discovered it was an unsatisfactory meal. Little Nine discerned that not all prey was palatable, realizing her discerning taste. As they traversed, Jiang noticed a stark contrast. While he had encountered numerous formidable monsters earlier, the area now seemed devoid of them. Such creatures yielded negligible devouring points. Time was of the essence, and Jiang knew he couldn't afford to dawdle, lest it jeopardize his enrollment in the Night Watch. As Jiang pressed forward, his focus intensified, lost in contemplation. Suddenly, the sky darkened and rain poured down. In the midst of this deluge, a colossal spider lurking nearby caught sight of Jiang. Descending with deliberate slowness, it fixed a murderous gaze upon him. Jiang extended his hand to the side, feeling the raindrops patter against his skin. Recognizing the magical essence within the rain, he understood that he had stumbled upon an area rife with beast lairs. Despite the initial misstep in locating the nest, he couldn't contain his satisfaction at the discovery. Now, all that remained was to swiftly locate the monster and fill the devouring gauge for the first time. Moments later, Jiang glanced back and spotted the creature edging closer. Their eyes locked, and an intense silence fell between them, stretching out for several seconds. Little Nine materialized, her gaze fixed on the approaching monster. She inquired of Jiang whether he wished for her assistance. Jiang lifted his head slightly, focusing on the creature. He responded that intervention wasn't needed, as the monster's level appeared low, its size only slightly larger than the others they had encountered. Seizing the opportunity, the monster landed and readied its sharp appendages for an assault. With a menacing glare, it lunged at Jiang with its piercing limbs, yet Jiang deftly evaded the strikes with nimble leaps. Then, capitalizing on the opening, he gathered his strength and leaped with great force. In a flash, Jiang found himself atop the monster, his fist tightly clenched as he readied to strike. The creature, catching sight of Jiang, trembled in fear, its mind racing with confusion. With a powerful blow, Jiang struck the monster, sending its body crashing to the ground, life extinguished, and the floor shattered into pieces. As Jiang pondered, Little Nine emerged, her hand resting on her forehead as she delivered news of more monsters' arrival. Startled by her voice, Jiang broke free from his reverie, casting a glance to the side, his surprise evident. The resounding impact of his attack had drawn the attention of other lurking monsters in the vicinity. Standing atop the monster's lifeless body, Jiang noticed the encroaching giant spiders. Reacting swiftly, he summoned the dagger he acquired in the secret realm, using the poisonous mist. With determination in his eyes, he turned to Little Nine and declared that it was time for a feast. Their gazes turned lethal as they locked onto the approaching giant spiders. Jiang checked in with Little Nine, who affirmed her readiness without a moment's hesitation. Activating Little Nine's poisonous mist, Jiang swiftly charged forward, dagger in hand. In a blur of motion, he struck at the spiders, slicing through their bodies and infecting them with the deadly mist. With each battle, their levels surged rapidly. Continuing to engage monsters along their journey back promised at least 2 more level advancements. In mere moments, the creatures fell, either succumbing to mortal wounds or the corrosive effects of the poisonous mist. In an instant, the monsters lay lifeless, forming a mound of corpses. Jiang approached and requested that Little Nine consume the remains of these creatures. She eagerly complied, extending her arms wide. Suddenly she paused, her attention drawn to something approaching, a presence large, potent, and promisingly satisfying. At Little Nine's revelation, Jiang swiftly turned his gaze in the same direction, noting her heightened excitement. It dawned on him that the approaching entity must be the boss. Facing the direction of the impending threat, he extended his hand, his expression hardening with determination. With a gesture, he commanded Little Nine to attack, her anticipation mirrored in his own resolve. As the boss drew nearer, its silhouette emerged from the mist. Little Nine, undeterred, launched her assault. Soon after, agonized cries pierced the air. Jiang, hearing a distinctly feminine voice from the creature, turned his attention towards it, his expression a mix of surprise and confusion. Little Nine's misjudgment became apparent as the approaching figure revealed herself to be a woman, not the anticipated boss. Jiang's attack inadvertently caused her clothing to tear, and she collapsed to the ground, unconscious. Surveying the scene, Jiang pondered the nature of this mysterious individual, unsure of her origins or capabilities. After a few moments, the woman stirred, her eyelids fluttering open. Gazing up at the sky, a startled expression crossed her face as she puzzled over her surroundings and the events unfolding. With a steadying hand, she pushed herself upright, the other instinctively finding her head as she gradually pieced together the situation, questioning the unfamiliar surroundings. She recalled not arriving at this place, her hand still resting on her head as she endeavored to make sense of it all. Jiang drew near, settling beside her, his elbows on his knees as he closed his eyes, a gentle smile gracing his lips as he inquired if she was awake. At the sound of Jiang's voice, she snapped to attention, pondering his identity. Acting swiftly, she rose to her feet and quickly distanced herself from him, assuming a defensive posture. Locking eyes with Jiang, she demanded to know his identity and urged him not to come any closer. Rising to his feet, he turned towards her and, in a composed tone, reassured her that she need not fear, explaining that he was merely a career transitioner who had ventured into the desert to combat monsters. He further assured her that his intentions were not to cause harm. Upon closer inspection, she recollected Jiang's identity. Placing a hand over her heart, she gestured towards Jiang with the other, fixing him with a piercing gaze as she accused him of being the assailant from a prior encounter. Jiang's demeanor shifted to one of unease upon hearing this. He closed his eyes momentarily, then with a rueful smile, offered his apologies, admitting that he had mistaken her for a monster in the past. Caught off guard by Jiang's attractiveness, she felt a warmth spread across her cheeks. Turning towards him, she questioned how anyone could compare lovely girls like herself to monsters, finding his assumption presumptuous. Panic surged within her, prompting her to frantically check her features, ensuring her nose and ears were intact. Jiang remained silent, watching her closely. Recalling the force he had exerted during the attack, he marveled at her resilience as she appeared unscathed, almost as if the incident hadn't occurred. Pondering her identity and how she had endured his assault, he found himself increasingly intrigued. After a few moments, reassured by her lack of injuries, she gradually calmed down. She extended her hand to the side, and the golden ring adorning her finger gleamed, radiating a vibrant green energy. This ring, akin to a timepiece, illuminated, displaying the current time. Observing the hour, she recognized that she had lingered too long. With a swift decision, she turned away from Jiang, briskly striding away, determined to depart before anyone could apprehend her. As she gradually distanced herself, Jiang maintained his silence, his gaze fixed upon her, pondering the reasons behind her retreat and the identity of those pursuing her. The woman edged further away, yet suddenly halted in her tracks. With a hand pressed against her mouth, she nervously began to gnaw at her nails. It didn't take Jiang long to sense the unease radiating from the woman. Drawing closer, he observed her jittery demeanor and inquired if everything was all right. As Tara's grip tightened, she subtly glanced back, eyes shut, offering a strained smile. She explained that there were monsters up ahead, and lacking prowess in combat, she opted to step back and leave Jiang to confront them. Within moments, her nervousness dissipated, and she pivoted away from him once more, offering a farewell wave. "That's it," she declared, resolved to depart. Witnessing her abrupt departure, Jiang's countenance shifted dramatically. With a perplexed expression, he watched her go, musing on the apparent waste of her acting talents. As the rain began to fall, the woman departed. Jiang wandered the vicinity, contemplating the situation. The prospect of encountering monsters ahead pleased him. It aligned with his intentions, as these particular monsters posed no challenge for him. However, despite the opportunity to earn devouring points, he acknowledged a looming issue. Jiang's expression turned solemn as he angled his head, contemplating the challenge of confronting other job changers. The desert had long been a lawless domain, attracting individuals engaged in acts of violence and theft. Doubts crept into his mind regarding the wisdom of apprehending the woman he had encountered earlier, considering the risks involved. As Jiang immersed himself in contemplation, Little Nine emerged. Pointing ahead with a solemn expression, she alerted him to the approaching horde of monsters. Rather than feeling fear or contemplating retreat, Jiang's face lit up with delight. Turning slightly towards Little Nine, he expressed his satisfaction upon learning about the multitude of monsters ahead. His elation was short-lived. Turning his head to the side, he was met with a sight that sent shock coursing through him. Hundreds of giant spiders emerged before him, resembling the ones he had recently vanquished. Among them loomed a colossal specimen, its gaze dripping with malice as it fixed its eyes on him. As potent energy enveloped Jiang's body, he surveyed the spiders and realized the gravity of the situation. Engaging a few of them individually wouldn't pose a challenge, but the sheer number now converging upon him rendered direct confrontation impossible. As the giant spiders inched closer, he maintained a steady, focused gaze upon them, acknowledging the woman's earlier warning with growing certainty. Despite being encircled by monsters, Jiang experienced a sense of relief. He found solace in battling these creatures over engaging with other job changers. As the giant spiders grew increasingly agitated, their murderous intent driving them forward with haste, Jiang couldn't suppress his satisfaction. With the impending opportunity to gain devouring value, he welcomed their swift advance without hesitation. Jiang drew his two daggers, his body radiating an intense and stifling energy as he locked his gaze onto the approaching monsters. Instructing Little Nine to unleash the poisonous mist, she promptly complied with a firm nod. Without hesitation, the mist began to seep from the blades clutched in his hands. In an instant, the giant spiders closed in on him, jaws gaping wide in preparation for an assault. Despite the enveloping poisonous mist around Jiang's form, he remained motionless for several heartbeats. As one of the colossal arachnids lunged towards him, Jiang's movements blurred with incredible speed. Leveraging the daggers and Little Nine's toxic mist, he surged forward, slicing through the spider's body in a single swift motion, infecting it with the venomous haze in the process. Mid-air, Jiang cast a fierce glare back at the monsters, his expression lethal as he contemplated their newfound speed, a perplexing development. His attention momentarily diverted, another giant spider seized the opportunity, hurtling towards him with alarming velocity. As the giant spider inched closer, its gaze filled with malice, poised for an assault, Jiang swiftly sensed its presence. Without delay, he glanced back, catching sight of its attempt to launch a surprise attack, eliciting a hint of surprise from him. However, the giant spider's ill-fated attempt would not catch Jiang off guard. Just as the giant spider poised for action, Jiang sprang into action with lightning speed, slicing its body into pieces with his daggers in a blur of motion. The fragmented remnants cascaded to the ground as Jiang gracefully landed moments later. Standing with both daggers gripped firmly in his hands, his body emanated the toxic mist conjured by Little Nine. With a gaze filled with determination, he fixated on the spider's lifeless form, sensing something amiss. Despite swiftly thwarting the attack and dispatching the creature in an instant, he noticed a small cut on his abdomen, a testament to the brief struggle. As the smaller spiders surged forward with increasing speed, Jiang swiftly grasped the realization that these monsters were coordinating their efforts, a troubling revelation. Upon closer examination, Jiang noticed a spider that stood out starkly from the others. With 6 eyes and a considerably larger size, he swiftly deduced it as the boss among them. This realization prompted him to ponder whether this commanding figure was orchestrating the actions of the others. In the blink of an eye, thousands of spiders materialized, encircling Jiang. As Little Nine's toxic mist emanated from his body, Jiang fixed his gaze upon the boss spider. Rather than fleeing, he remained rooted in place. It dawned on Jiang that the thousands of monsters inhabiting the area shared a unified strategy, both in their sheer numbers and their tactics. This realization shed light on why this particular area remained untouched by others. With a determined expression, Jiang fixed his gaze on the boss, contemplating that the key to defeating the swarm of smaller monsters lay in vanquishing their leader. However, as he assessed the vast number of creatures surrounding him, he acknowledged the formidable challenge ahead. Lost in his thoughts, Jiang was startled as Little Nine emerged from the toxic mist, placing her hand on his shoulder to draw his attention. Emerging gradually, her expression grave, Little Nine directed her gaze squarely at the boss spider. With a serious demeanor, she conveyed to Jiang her comprehension of the situation, disclosing that the monsters were attempting to usurp their master. Jiang's confusion deepened at this revelation. He turned his head slightly towards her, inquiring about the meaning behind her words. Little Nine regarded the monsters with disdain, finding their arrogance remarkable. With a sweeping gesture, she raised her hands to her sides, tilting her head back to the sky, and released a resounding roar. At the sound of Little Nine's roar, the spiders finally recognized her as the insect mother. Without hesitation, the smaller spiders scattered in disarray, fleeing at the sight of their perceived leader's authority. Jiang found himself somewhat taken aback, pondering whether the monster's behavior stemmed from their insect-like nature. Little Nine approached Jiang, inclining her head slightly towards him as she revealed that she had severed the connection between the boss spider and its underlings. Jiang hadn't anticipated that Little Nine's abilities could be applied in such a manner. With the monsters thrown into disarray, Jiang anticipated that defeating them would now be significantly easier. Brandishing his two daggers to each side, he fixed the boss with a deadly gaze. Expressing his appreciation to Little Nine for her effective intervention, he determined that the moment had come to eradicate the boss once and for all. Upon hearing Jiang's command, Little Nine reverted to her original form. Fixing the boss with a lethal glare, she responded with a simple yet obedient, "Understood, good master." As Jiang's body continued to emit the toxic mist conjured by Little Nine, he gathered momentum, leaping forward with determination, urging her to follow closely. In a flash, Jiang swiftly dispatched several monsters with his daggers, severing their bodies into fragments. With the boss's influence no longer a concern, the remaining monsters descended into chaos. Jiang surged forward at high speed, darting among the creatures and methodically slicing through their ranks with his daggers. With the monsters now scattered and disarrayed, Jiang recognized that they no longer posed a threat, allowing him to proceed without further delay. Dispatching several monsters within moments, he propelled himself forward with a powerful leap. Advancing rapidly towards the boss, Jiang focused his thoughts on the singular objective that remained. The boss unleashed a menacing roar, its gaze fixed fiercely on Jiang. Undeterred, Jiang met its stare head-on, refusing to back down. Mentally preparing for the impending clash, he recognized the boss as the ultimate source of devouring value. Despite the boss's attempts to defend itself, its efforts proved futile against Jiang's determined assault. Moments before it could react, Jiang descended upon the boss, launching a rapid assault on its head with both daggers, infusing it with Little Nine's toxic mist. Despite the size disparity, within seconds, the boss succumbed to its injuries, collapsing to the ground. Jiang landed atop the boss's lifeless form, clutching both daggers as his body continued to exude Little Nine's venomous mist. Gazing intently at the lifeless body, Jiang resolved that the moment had arrived to propagate the swarm of insects.